Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The SMG meta in Warzone right now has some really good options up towards the top of the category, and today we're specifically focusing on that top of the category. We're breaking down the top 5 best SMGs you want to be running right now. Starting first though with some stat breakdown courtesy of True Game Data. As always, shout out to Tony for letting us have all this information so easily and readily available, and we got a list of some solid SMGs right now to compare with one another to really break down and narrow down those top 5. So the AMR9, seen a lot of talk about this one lately. For the iron sight build that's kind of bugged, we'll talk about that. The Horus is obviously going crazy. The Lockman Shroud with the Decimator kit making it the OG MP5. The Ram 9's been in and out of the conversation. The Rival's seen some solid buffs. The Base Striker and the Striker 9 are in there. The Superi and the Wasp 9. When we go through, we look at 300 health or combination shot TTK. We get a pretty interesting graph here that you can see is going all over the place. There's a lot of competition. First things first though, this AMR9 build, our red line, you can see it's right in the middle of everything for that first damage range. So it's like kind of competitive there, but then it just starts to drop off and have one of those slower TTKs throughout. Despite the fact that yes, you can get some really clean irons on this thing, I'm telling you, I would not recommend it as of now. It's an all right competitive SMG, but it's not in the top 5, all things considered. Our Horus obviously has a great first range TTK and incredible movement, making it an absolute go-to choice right now, just in general within that close range meta. The Lockman Shroud is one that I'm so torn on because yes, it has this absurd TTK. It kills so quickly, but in order to actually have a build that is capable of competing with these other options, you have to go all in on mobility. So it has a good sprint to fire, it has a good ADS speed, and when you do that, you end up really hurting the control of it, and it's just not an accurate weapon. It does not feel as good as it is looking on paper here, and for me, that's a huge drawback. While yes, purely damage wise, this is probably a top 3 sub. As a general SMG meta build, I don't think it necessarily is there just because it is an MW2 gun, unfortunately. The Ram 9's TTK just kind of mid everywhere. I don't really think that one's all that impressive. The Rivals though is getting better and better. It's kind of slower in that first damage range, but in that mid range it really starts to thrive, and it's just really competitive throughout all the way out beyond 30 meters. So sort of for sniper support as well, this would work really good. Base Striker, our white line here, also just super consistent throughout the close damage range, the mid range there, great for sniper support as well. The default Striker, yeah, kind of slow in that first damage range. It's solid in the mid range, like it's really close, but again, just falls a little bit short. And then of course we've got our Superi, which is just so reliable all the way through, and the Wasp 9, which is really good up through about 23 meters. And we've got a solid top 5 here between the Horus, the Rival, the Striker, the Superi, and the Wasp 9. So now let's jump in game and break down the detailed loadouts for all of these and actually rank them in order. So at number 5, I've got the Rival 9. As we saw, it's just really reliable. It's not really a super big standout option in any place, but it's just consistent throughout. I also love the mobility on this thing. It's a really like big standout for me there. This thing is just aggressive at all times and works well for a variety of playstyles. You could pair this with an LMG or an AR, you could pair it with a sniper, and it's going to be pretty good all across the board. So here we got the clear shot barrel. It helps out that range, that velocity, that control, just makes it more versatile as an SMG and doesn't necessarily slow it down all that much when we do stack other attachments on here, like the DR6 hand stop, which of course helps out that mobility across the board. We got high grain on here for an even better range of velocity, really helping out that hit scan range. Pretty much every fight you're taking with this thing, it's going to feel very consistent there. 50 round extended mag, then I found myself to be the most accurate using a NIDAR optic on here. If there's a different scope you like more, or perhaps you like the irons, you could always throw on a ZEM 35 or a laser for ADS and you know, sprint of fire or a stock for some strafe builds. But for me, I'm all in on accuracy there, and the NIDAR model 2023 is what I felt the most consistent with across the board. And number 4, got the Wasp 9. This thing is just again really consistent. It's also extremely good in terms of range, whether it's its first damage range or its second damage range, meaning once more for sniper support, this is viable. For a run and gun playstyle, it's viable too. Feels a whole lot like the Milano from Cold War Warzone back in the day. Here we got ZEM 35, better control, minimal ADS cons, pretty standard option on a lot of the close range builds, as I'm sure you know. DR6 hand stop yet again, high grain yet again, 50 round extended mag yet again, kind of a nice little trio there on a lot of subs. And then I go for the reflector side in this case, just to change things up. You could use a NIDAR here, you could use a glassless, or if you do like the clunkier irons, again, you could speed this thing up with a laser or a stock, or you could even throw on a barrel to extend the range some if you wanted to as well. A couple of different ways you could build this depending on your level of comfortability with the gun. all of them are going to be good. Quick reminder as we're going through all the setups here today, if you enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, a like rating is always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel or maybe you have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here, so feel free to hit that subscribe button to guarantee you'll never miss another video. Number 3, I got the base Striker. One of my new favorite options here, especially since we saw the hard nerf to the Striker 9. This has been one that's always sort of been in the scene for the meta conversation, but never really a top go-to option. But right now, it's easy to use, good mobility, really versatile as well. Kind of the common theme with some of these ones towards the bottom of the top 5 right now. Again, here I am rocking that Zem 35 compensator per usual. I go for the long barrel here over high grade just because it's going to offer more range and decent velocity, but very minimal cons here to your mobility as opposed to losing some control with high grain. So always important to note that it's not just, hey, always spam this specific attachment, because certain cases there will be a better alternative, like in this case. DR6 hand stop is still my go-to though for the underbarrel. 48 round or 60 round extended mag there, either or is going to work. 60 will be a tad bit slower, but either is sufficient here, no wrong answers. Then I do go for the light stock as well, just a little bit of better mobility there. Recon series stock is also decent if you want this thing to really be a laser beam, like if you're playing more for sniper support, that's a good choice too. Haven't run a whole lot of no stock, don't love the control feel with that, but that is something you could dabble with to see if you do like those movement benefits and you're okay with the control because you're just running and gunning. But you definitely got some options there. Again, regardless of which one you want to go for, the Striker is so good at its core that you can really build this around your playstyle and find a lot of success with it. And number 2, we got the Horus. Only reason this isn't number 1 is, well, one, because the number 1 gun exists, but also its first damage range is really where it thrives the most, and then it's just kind of competitive. But for the first 10, 12 meters, depending on what your damage range is like with this thing, it fries. It has crazy good movement and one of the fastest TTKs in the entire game. So we do go for the Sin 9 long barrel here, extends that range out to 11 meters, which is solid, almost 12 meters, and that's, again, where that fastest TTK is. And it helps out a little bit with that control too, so nice little double dip there. We got Zem 35 yet again, DR6 hand stop. You can upgrade to the 60 obviously if you've got that conversion kit unlocked, so that's a pretty solid choice as opposed to 48. The detailed stats here say there's no difference in any of the movement speeds here. I'm not sure if that's intended or not, but regardless, run 60. Then lastly, it just comes down to level of comfortability. I don't love the irons on this, but I do love the feel of the Ripper light stock, so I kind of just live with them. However, if you want to focus on accuracy, you could drop the Ripper light. You could even maybe drop the long barrel if you wanted to, or other attachments. Maybe you don't value Zem 35 as much, right? And throw on an optic, glassless, night hour, a slate, whatever floats your boat there. You could definitely switch that around a lot and just see what is the most comfortable for you, basically, because as always, comfortability should exceed everything when you're building your loadouts for you. And then lastly, at number 1, we've got the Superi, by far my favorite SMG in the game right now. The most consistent throughout, great TTK in the first damage range, the second damage range, the third damage range. Its strafe speed is unreal. It's super easy to use. Clean iron sights, this thing has no drawbacks. It's checking the right box everywhere. Here I'm going for the light barrel, great strafe speed. That's really all I'm focused with out of that. I also go for DR6 hand stop, decent strafe speed, less bounce than the BW4. This is technically better, but you will notice that it's a little bit bouncier. That's just a matter of preference. Do you like the bounce? Do you not? I don't think either option is bad. It's just more so which are you more comfortable with again. High grain here, better range, better velocity, helping out extend that faster TTK out to 16 meters. That's phenomenal for a sub. 40 round extended mag with this fire rate works just fine. I guess if there was a con with this, it's that it's not a 50 or a 60, but 40 works, so it's not really a huge deal. Then I go for the Jack Cutthroat stock aftermarket part. Again, incredible strafe speed, good movement speed as well. So this thing flies, this thing fries. Overall, in my opinion, easily the number 1 SMG. And that's gonna wrap things up. Those are the top 5 best SMGs in Warzone right now. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like, and if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.